What is the Cooke Look? Look, this is something that people talk about a lot, and we represent lots of different manufacturers of lenses here at AbelCine, but people talk about the Cooke Look as this something that's very desirable, but what does that mean? Here's a Mini S4. This particular one's a 50 millimeter. There's 8 lenses to this set, from 18 up to 135 millimeter. Here is another Cooke lens. This is a traditional S4. These lenses are 18 in the set. What's the difference between them, besides this one's being a mini because it's a little bit smaller? It's still pretty big. These lenses all go to a T2. These lenses go to a 2.8. Now, making these lenses go to a T2.8 means that you're able to make them a lot more economically, so you can buy them a lot more economically. But they still both have this Cooke look. In fact, they're both made on the same machines, the same polishers that the Cooke's been using for over 100 years. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It has a really nice look to it. What is the Cooke look? Well, to illustrate this, I shot a few tests to try and show you what these things look like. The first is resolution. It's a bit of a misnomer. People think that Cooke lenses aren't quite as sharp as other brands, and I don't think that's really true. They gently roll in and out of focus, so maybe they don't quite pop like other lenses, but they are sharp when you get into focus. So to demonstrate it, took the lens and put it onto an Alexa camera and pointed it at our AbelCine's own resolution analysis charts, something that we devised. Now, this presentation, this video that you're looking at right now, is 1920 by 1080. So I only recorded it at that resolution because that's all I can really show you here. But if it's 1080 lines of vertical resolution, then if you translate that into line pairs, which is how you see resolution, you look at a black and white sets of lines, and if you can see the difference, you can resolve them. Well, 1080 lines of resolution would mean 540 line pairs, and if you look at the 500 line pair level on our chart, very clearly resolved. You can definitely see that 500 lines of resolution. You have to trust me that these lenses actually resolve far, far more than that. They are, in fact, quite high resolution lenses. The next quality to the lenses that I looked at was flare. Now, I purposely created a lot of flare. In fact, I kind of wanted to break it. If you just take a light, a really bright one, and you blast it straight down the barrel of a lens, I don't care what lens it is, it will flare. On the Mini S4, the quality to that flare, it's a little bit out of focus. It is not so contrasty, so it doesn't pop out from the background so much. And it just has sort of a soft feeling. It's present, but it's not extremely screaming at you, if you will. Another aspect to the Cooke look that I think is very important is something called bokeh. Now, bokeh translates from Japanese to mean out of focus. What happens to the image when it goes out of focus? For this, to try and illustrate it, took the lenses off the camera and went to our lens projector. It's sort of a camera in reverse. It's got a light behind the lens and a little test reference chart, and you project that through the lens onto a wall, turn off the lights, and you can see what the lens is doing. You look at this pattern on the wall. Well, take the lens and just knock it out of focus. Just rotate the focus to its minimum. And what you see on the Cooke lenses is that the center goes, as it goes out of focus, it magnifies much more than the edges of the image. So it becomes round, if you will. It feels like it's coming out at you, or depending how you think about it, going away from you, sort of a tunnel effect. And if you look at the traditional S4 lens, the classic, it still has that same sort of roundedness, even when they're both set to a T2.8. They're very much the same design. What does this mean in real world shooting? We don't go and shoot test charts and lens projectors for a living. We actually shoot real objects. So let's take the lenses, go back onto the Alexa and look at our showroom floor, and set up a mannequin's head and then a little body sort of thing behind it, and just shifted focus between two depths, two distances. On the Cooke lenses, you get a feeling of that distance between the objects. You feel that dimensionality. And that's what the bokeh is doing for you. The last aspect to the Cooke look is color. And Cooke lenses are known to have a bit of warmth to them, a bit of yellowiness. And what that can do is really enrichen flesh tones. It can just make skin feel that much more alive. It's hard thing to quantify, so we took the lens and camera and we went over to our vector scope. I'm using a vector scope here to illustrate the warmth that's inherent in Cooke lenses. The little boxes around the outside represent the primary and secondary colors, the sort of reference specific colors. And then the two diagonal lines represent color temperature on one of them, and then green magenta shift on the other, roughly. And then there's a box dead center, and that is perfect white. Now, what I did is I took the camera and pointed it at a white reference and did an auto white balance, and it landed everything right dead center. But that was with no lens on. Then I put on the Cooke Mini S4, and you can see how it shifted out of the box. It's a little bit off to the sides towards the yellow. And in fact, if I go ahead and adjust color temperature, you can see that I'm going nice and warm, and then I get very, very blue, but I can't quite land in the box. I kind of dance next to it. And if I adjust green magenta shift, that's getting very, very green. This gets very, very magenta, but I can't quite land in the box. And that's a very subtle kind of warmth, kind of yellowness that's in the lens, inherent to it. That's part of that Cooke look. So these different qualities are what make up the Cooke look. This is a Cooke Mini S4. There are 8 lenses to this set from 18 to 135, and they're available from AbelCine.